All right, all right, all right. If you're a smart fan or a casual fan, you're all fans, and I have the podcast for you, Steve and Mare, Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling. That's right. If you're not listening to Busted Open and Dave LaGreca, I recommend you listen to Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling. That's right, Steve and Mare, casual and smart. And you know what? You could be both at the same time. And who better to do it than Steve and Mare? Steve, Mare, take it away.
Welcome back to the Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling podcast, the show where we bring you the biggest names, the best stories, and the passion that fuels professional wrestling. From the brightest stars on television to the hardest working talent on the independent scene.
Today's guest is a man who's been building a resume that's impossible to ignore. He's the inaugural 5-star championship wrestling world champion, a 2-time CCW heavyweight champion, a former CCW Southern States champion, and the winner of the AWZ International Cup tournament.
His trophy case doesn't stop there. He's been named CCW Rookie of the Year, 3-time Superstar of the Year, 3-time Match of the Year, and he's the Ruler of the Ring tournament champion. Everywhere he goes, he leaves a lasting impression.
You can catch him competing for United Pro Wrestling, Continental Championship Wrestling, 5-Star Championship Wrestling, and Guardians Legacy, where he's proving why he's one of the fastest rising names on the independent wrestling scene today.
We're talking about championships, memorable matches, the grind of the independent scene, what drives him to keep pushing forward, and where the machine is headed next.
So sit back, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and get ready for another great conversation.
So please welcome the machine, Bryce Maddox.
You guys are making me blush, man. I need to bring you on, do my intros for all my matches.
Listen, if you need some people to hype you up, we got you.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. So, for fans who might be discovering you for the first time, who is the machine Bryce Maddox?
Great question. The Machine Bryce Maddox is a former college football player. So I think something that a lot of promotions, what they bring me in for, I think what people remember me as when they see me in the ring for the first time is my athleticism. I bring just a certain level of intensity to my matches and to my attitude into the ring. And, I think that pretty much personifies who the Machine Bryce Maddox is. It's intensity.
So what made you want to step through the doors of a wrestling school for the first time, translating, from the, college football scene?
For sure. My whole life actually, I've always said I was going to play college football. I was going to go to the WWE or be a professional wrestler. That was always the goal. It was never like college football, NFL, like all the kids around me. Eyes were always set on professional wrestling. So fast forward a few years. I mean, I've always grew up a fan of it, always watched it. But fast forward a few years, I got to college football, and I had a football coach, or one of my coaches at Jacksonville University. They were actually friends with somebody who was a recruiter with the WWE or at the time. They knew I was a big fan. They knew it was something I was trying to get into when I was done. Circumstances, everything works out for a reason. Then unfortunately in 2019, my college, they canceled the football program when I was about halfway through my college career. And it was kind of a pivot point for me. Do I want to keep playing football, or is this an opportunity to pursue something else? I found it just how everything worked out. It was like, I think it's time to pursue the professional wrestling. So they got me in contact. They gave me some great advice, some advice that has stuck with me, now going on to year 6 to this day. And I found a wrestling school, and I trained at Dory Funk School in Ocala, Florida. I trained there for about a year. I was driving 2 hours, 2 hours from Jacksonville to Ocala, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and 2 hours back, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. While I was finishing up school, actually, I was finishing up my degree. So it worked out really well because I knew school was always very important to me. School came first when it was football. And when I kind of started the wrestling journey, it was no different. I wanted to finish what I had started. So it was nice. I really focused on the training at Dory School, and I really wanted to perfect the craft before I got out there. And they gave me some really great opportunities and some great networking opportunities. And then, it's just kind of been rolling downhill since then, or uphill, hopefully. But the snowball effect, it kept going.
I think that all of your training really does translate to the ring. Like you can tell that you're clearly athletic. Extremely talented. Like every match that we've watched of yours is captivating, and you are a force. Like the machine name is not just a name because you're hard hitting. And it's thrilling to watch. So speaking of everything, and going uphill from here. I mean, you're the inaugural five-star championship wrestling world champion right now. So, what does being the first champion in a promotion mean to you?
I mean, it was super. Is another thing. I think in pro wrestling, you'll see on cards a lot of times, or the flyers for promotions card is subject to change because things always happen. Without pulling it back too far, that wasn't the original plan with the promotion. I was supposed to go kind of back and forth with somebody for a few months. Something happened. It was scheduling conflict. They weren't able to be involved with it anymore, and so it was kind of like a spur of the moment thing. I showed up for that show not knowing that they were putting the title on me. I was under the impression I was going to go put somebody else over, and then that was going to be kind of their journey. And like, hey, this is what's going on. We want to put it on. We want to put it on you. And I always feel honored. Because FCW is a newer promotion. They just finished their whole like first year as a promotion, and for them to be like, this is the guy that we want to pretty much, build the foundation off of and around it now. I mean, John and Cody, man, they're both, great individuals, and they have a really great thing going in Tallahassee right now. And I very thankful for it. I mean, I'm so humbled by it.
So, life imitating art, there's ups and downs. You in your story, you were playing college football, the team went away, time to pivot. What's been your journey as far as ups and downs? Was there ever, a tough lesson that made you like question this decision at all?
Wow. So, once I finished up training at Dory's school, really the only connections I had were up in Tennessee. And mind you, I'm living in Northeast Florida at the time. So the only connections I had were in Tennessee. So I was going up at, once a month, twice a month, driving 13 hours to Tennessee, wrestling for, we call it a hot dog and a handshake and driving back. And there was definitely moments at that period of time in my career where I definitely did question it. And even to this day, I'm always so just I try to be as humble as I possibly can. I'm always so thankful for everybody that, gives me, applause and pats on the back for everything that I'm doing. But it can be frustrating, especially coming as an athlete. I mean, I think we're all athletes and performers, but when you're doing everything you feel like you're doing everything right, and everybody's telling you you're doing great, and the opportunity still isn't coming, or what you're looking for still isn't there. And so life imitates art, just like you said. And so I think what I try to do is just do the work and find joy in the work, and not get so fixated on the end result, and just really enjoy the journey and everything that we're doing to hopefully get there eventually.
So, you do have a ton of incredible accolades. I mean, you have match of the year 3 different times. So, for newer fans that are just meeting you, what makes a great wrestling match in Bryce Maddox's eyes?
A great wrestling match is captivating. It's what brings you in, I think, from the very first entrance, from the second wrestler's entrance, whatever kind of match it is, whatever brings you in and makes you forget about whatever is going on in your life right now. A lot of people come into shows with a lot of luggage, and they're just there to hope to enjoy a few hours of pro wrestling and not have to think about anything else. So I think if you were watching a match and you're like, wow, like that was just 15 minutes of pure joy, I could leave right now and be happy. I think that is what truly makes a good match. I don't think it's the moves. I don't think it's, blood and guts and everything. My style isn't everybody else's style. There are people that pro wrestling is for everybody. You don't have to be an amazing athlete to be a great pro wrestler. You don't have to, sometimes it helps, but like you don't have to be. It's the art that you're putting in there and the story you're telling. So I think whatever captivates people and makes them forget about whatever else is going on in life. That's what makes a great pro wrestling match to Bryce Maddox.
That's awesome. You talk about captivating your audience. When fans hear the machine and, hear your music and see you walk through that curtain, what do you want them to expect every time you're out there in that squared circle?
I want people to be like, this guy's legit. I want people to be like, this guy, he can go and like I can't do that. That's what I want. I want people to look at me and while I'm in there and be like, I don't, maybe I can do that, but like this guy's clearly doing something different. Something that I say a lot is that I'm leaps and bounds above my competition, and I say that unbelievably, with integrity. I don't mean it in an arrogant way at all. But like if I know I'm good, I'm gonna let you know that I'm good, and if I know that I'm better than you, then I'm gonna let you know that I'm better than you. So I think that is a big thing that if somebody's watching me, that's all I can hope that they can just, I hope they remember me.
Let's pivot a little bit to your training now. You were a college athlete, you're a very athletic person. What does a normal training week look like for you? If for somebody that's in pro wrestling and you have you're juggling several promotions here. So what's your normal training week look like?
So a normal training week is going to be at least 4 days of resistance training where I'm lifting weights. I do about 2 to 3 days of, well, I probably do about 3 days of cardio right now. 2 of those days being what I would consider like a hit training, like high intensity interval training. I'll do about an hour of that, and then 1 or 2 days where I'll do what's called like steady state training, or just like a lower heart rate for a longer period of time. And then I'm in the ring as much as I can be. I train in the wrestling ring at least 2 times a week, if not more. It's tough sometimes with scheduling. I'm wrestling often, of course, but you got to be easy on the body. But a normal training week is going to look like that. I mean, I'm in the gym at 4 or 5 days a week, and then another 3 4 days a week of just like cardio training, and then another 2 3 days a week of wrestling training. I always tell people the machine's not a gimmick. It's like how I live my life. Truly, if I even if I wasn't a pro wrestler, I would do the same thing. I have like an addiction to it. It's just what I enjoy doing in my free time. Um, the machine, funny enough, was a nickname that I got when I was 14 years old, like long before pro wrestling. And it was my very first day of summer workouts. We were for football, and we were training. And funny enough, the 4th of July is coming up while we're filming this, but uh, funny enough, it was on the 4th of July. We were doing a 4th of July workout, and our coach made us do 1,776 crunches. That was like our 4th of July finisher, 1776. Um, funny now, not funny in the moment. Then we were doing it, and I was one of the only ones that was just cranking them out, not stopping. And my coach was like, this kid's a machine." And then they called me a machine all the way through like high school. That was always my nickname. So I knew, way before I knew that pro wrestling was actually going to come to fruition. I was like, that's it. I'm not going to stray from that.
I had a trainer once. I do half marathons and I like to run. I'm not great
Oh,
at it, but I
nice.
love it. For whatever
I
reason, I love it.
I just started running in the last like 6 months, so I feel your pain.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
like
easy.
the funnest form of torture. But I
Yep.
when I think of HIIT and when I was training like hardcore for a half marathon, my trainer was like, "Oh, we're gonna do a HIIT workout. We're gonna do X, Y, and Z, and we're gonna do burpees." So everybody hates burpees. That's my least favorite exercise. Do you have an exercise that you absolutely hate, but you force yourself to do it?
Ooh. Right now, it might be running, but if that counts as an exercise, gosh, that is a really great question. Exercise I hate doing, but I will make myself do it anyways. I think it's kind of actually unpopular. I don't like to bench press. I think it's a very popular movement, but I don't personally like to do like any form of like bench press. I do it anyways because I know I need to. But I've just always been kind of weaker at it, and that's probably why I'm weaker at it because I don't like to do it. But that's what I would say. But definitely, running is a close number two. I've learned to love it a little bit more in the last few months because it's getting a little easier. But yeah, that's just something new I kind of introduced.
I mean, it's that Florida humidity. Steve's parents live in Jacksonville, and
Oh, nice.
one of the visits, I was like, I'm gonna run. I'm gonna run while I'm there. and it was like a zillion percent humidity and
Yep.
85 degrees first thing in the morning, so I
Oh
haven't been
yeah.
in Jacksonville since.
It was 105 today. I mean, it was a inside day for sure.
So going from the gridiron to the squared circle, how has your workout routine changed from collegiate athlete to professional wrestler?
Yeah, that's a great question. So football is bigger, faster, stronger. Always bigger, faster, stronger. Really, no matter what position you play. Most of the guys were all trained to be bigger, faster, and stronger, I guess, as possible. So training with college football, it was a lot of like heavy squats, heavy power cleans. You really beat up your body in the weight room when you're at playing at that level. My coach used to call it the collision enhancement center. So that's what you were building that's what you were building your bodies for. Now I have definitely learned to change my training to better preserve my body. I still train intensely, but I definitely I'm not doing like heavy power cleans anymore or like super heavy. I still deadlift, but I'm not doing like super crazy heavy deadlifts or anything like that. So definitely, I've just educated myself more. 100%. I have educated myself more to preserve the body, and that way I'm able to bring intensity into the ring and keep myself safe. That's the number one thing. And like, if I could send a message to like any professional wrestler out there that's getting into it, is you don't have to be a body guy, like they say. You don't need to look like a bodybuilder by any means to be a professional wrestler, but you need to work out. It's just like it's a safety. It's a safety thing more than anything, and that's why it's so important to me. Because it allows me to do more things in the ring.
So for your training now, does most of your knowledge of what you're doing come from your background in college football, or have you done any sort of like program like NASM or ICE or
Yes.
anything like that?
Yeah, when I was in college, I went to school to be a strength and conditioning coach. So I have a bachelor's and a master's degree in kinesiology, which is just another word for exercise science, just the study of human movement. So I went to school with the intention of being a strength and conditioning coach. I did it for a year. I worked with like the men's basketball team for JU, and then I got into the private sector. I do more personal training and group training, and now I just kind of manage some gyms on the side.
So wrestling is physically demanding, but mentally it can sometimes be just as tough. How do you stay locked in? Everybody goes through those ups and downs, whether it's confidence, whether it's diet, whether it's training. So how does the machine stay focused?
For sure. I think it's just my support system around me. I have a mentor in professional wrestling who helps train me here in Jacksonville, and he's amazing, and he can always tell when I am you know getting frustrated or starting to stray away. And everybody goes through lazy moments, and he definitely keeps me on the right track. My wife is a huge supporter, and she also helps to keep me on track and keeps me locked in, reminds me when I need to lock in and when I need to rest as well, and not just put my nose, because I'm somebody I'll put my nose to the grindstone. I won't stop until it's too late and I'm too tired. So the reminder of rest is always super helpful. I think rest is the key to staying locked in. Actually, you got to find that good balance of, hey, like we got to bust our butt, but we also need to. You also got to take a minute and pick your feet up every now and then. But definitely, I attribute it all to my support system around me. It's a handful of a small circle of people that keep you going. Guys, I'm sure you guys can relate.
So, I mean, I know you wrestle around Florida and things like that. And then, fans, they see the match and it's independent wrestling, so they may not see it the same way as they would, like a bigger national promotion. Um, they don't see the hotels, the drives, the sacrifices. What's one part of independent wrestling that you think most people overlook?
Ooh, I think something that people overlook in professional wrestling. Probably when you look at people that are in great shape in professional wrestling, the amount of discipline that it takes to do that. When you get done with a pro wrestling show, it's 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock at night, and you're on the road. Sometimes you're in some country towns where there's only like state roads and stuff. Your availability for food is limited. Sometimes the only thing you can get to is a gas station. Sometimes the only thing that's open is a Wendy's, or that has 1 star in some small town. You know what I mean? Like it's very limited options. So I think something that is overlooked. I think it's becoming more well known of or more acknowledged about the grind of it all, the traveling, the hotels, the sleepless nights, the there and back between towns. But I definitely think people overlook the fact of how hard it is to maintain physical shape while you're traveling like that.
I can imagine too, especially if, the town you're in doesn't have, like Planet Fitness is everywhere, but,
For
you know,
sure.
there might not be a gym readily available, and hotel gyms are not fantastic, so
They are not, but we've made them work.
Now, I did some research on you, and I watched one of your matches today against former guest of the pod, friend of the pod, Odin Davenport, where he was able to come away and end your 533-day reign as champion. What what does that feel like? A, being champion for that long, and then having it, go right through your hands that quickly.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I think the first part of that question, holding the title for that long, is the same feeling that you had asked earlier about being the inaugural FCW champion. It's just like, I feel honored to be that guy that that they trust to be the world champion and be the example for the company. Um, Odin and I have gone back and forth for many years, actually. You can go back and find some matches between us in like 2021. I don't recommend watching those, but you can find some really old matches of ours. Uh, so somebody like Odin is he. I'm not a huge fan of him right now, but he's one of my favorite people to work with in the ring, because it's good every time, and every time it gets better. Uh, it was a quick roll up, and matter of fact, coming up on August 22nd, probably going to get a rematch. So I would definitely keep an eye out on that.
Wrestle
Hasn't been
Bash.
Yeah, Wrestle Bash. It would be August 22nd, and here in Jacksonville, Florida. Actually, it hasn't been officially announced yet or anything like that. But I'm petitioning to put my name in there because he hasn't had an opponent yet, or they haven't named his opponent for Wrestle Bash yet. But he actually has a match coming up on July 11th against Tommy Calloway, another roster on CCW here in Jacksonville. He's got to beat Tommy first. If he beats Tommy, then we can talk about Wrestle Bash. But the feeling of it just slipping away on a roll up like that it's just disappointment. It's just ultimate disappointment, especially just being an athlete and like just I'm very competitive. And I always tell people I hate to lose more than I like to win. So I mean, it definitely it just eats at me still to this day. So I'm very excited to get that opportunity back eventually.
And there
Um,
may or may not have been a handful of trunks there.
There may or may not have been. I mean, that's up for the fans to decide. Roll the tape back. Let them
Roll
know.
it back. So, one time Kenny Omega said, when he was working in New Japan, that he would just speak things into existence. Like he would just put it out in a media scrum, and then the New Japan Pro Wrestling like executives would have to put a match on. So you did call out Odin on the last Surge episode, for Wrestle Bash, and so it's almost like they have to give it to you. I mean, you put it out there.
I would hope so. I put it out there. I don't think that there's anybody else in line right now that better deserves it. I would say the top three in CCW right now are myself, Odin Davenport, and Miles Blackwell. He's another one who me and him have had actually almost like a 2-year long rivalry. That has a great library of matches and promos and everything between the two of us. He's also thrown his name in there, so I don't know if they're gonna give it to him, give it to me, if there's gonna be like a triple threat type thing. I've done 2 triple threats in the main event of Wrestle Bash before, so I'm familiar with it. So I don't mind that, but it's always different when you throw a third person in there.
Are you motivated more by championships, dream matches, or simply proving that you can climb back to the top and be one of the best?
I think it's definitely the third one. I mean, yes, championships are amazing. I think that's the ultimate goal, but I also try to live by the fact that when you get to the top, then what? Like you can be champion for as long as you want, but people are still going to want more. And then what do you do when you have nobody else to compete with but yourself? So for me, it's just about being. I want to be remembered, and that's always my ultimate goal. I want people to leave a show. I want them, if they remember anything, I want them to remember, something I did that night, or me as a person or a character, or how they felt because of that match. So definitely, like that's it. I just want to be memorable.
All right, guys, before we jump back into the show, I got to tell you about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that's looking like $1,000,000 without spending $1,000,000.
If you're listening to the Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling podcast, you're already a top tier wrestling fan. You care about the history, you care about the storytelling, you care about who really won that promo battle.
So why not dress like it?
Over at Pro Wrestling Tees, you can grab the official Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling merch. And buddy, this isn't some fly-by-night cheap print situation.
We're talking soft, comfortable tees,
Clean, bold designs.
the kind of shirt that works at a live show, a meetup, or your weekly pay-per-view watch party.
And here's the thing. When you rock the logo, you're not just wearing a shirt, you're repping the show. You're part of the conversation, and you're part of the community.
So do me a favor.
Right now, open up that browser.
Search Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling on Pro Wrestling Tees.
Grab the shirt. Maybe grab two. One for you, one for the tag partner in your life.
Support the podcast, support the brand.
And look like you belong in the front row while you're doing it.
All right, let's get back to the show.
Yeah, so let's get into some fun questions here.
Yeah.
You know, a little dream scenario for you. If you could pick one and only one, would you rather play in a Super Bowl or wrestle in a WrestleMania match?
Oh, wow. Nobody's ever asked me that question before.
We only ask the good questions here.
Yeah, I know. Okay. I'm gonna go off of, not living off of shoulda, couldas, or wouldas. And because I decided I'm gonna go with WrestleMania. Main event WrestleMania over the Super Bowl for sure. I think that'd be a much better feeling.
Plus, you could do it in a football field, so it'd be the
That
same.
right, exactly. I mean, if I could do it in an NFL stadium. That'll kind of be in the middle there. That was great. That was awesome.
We always compare chops in our family. We do a would you rather get a Big Show chop or a Ric Flair chop, that kind of thing. What is the hardest chop you've ever taken?
Ooh, his name is Kevin Cantrell. Yeah, he's moving around in South Georgia. He's actually part of United Pro Wrestling, United to Wrestle in Kingsland, Georgia. But he is probably the most physical person I've ever wrestled in the ring, like 100%. I mean, he brings it. The chops, you're just like, you just get the first few out of the way. But it kind of like, for me at least, I mean, this fires me up even more.
If you could have an entrance music, no copyright infringement, what would be your one go-to song that you would want playing you out?
No copyright infringement. That is tough, and I think I have to think about it more to give you a more thoughtful answer, maybe. But if just off of my tongue right now, "Wanted Dead or Alive" by Bon Jovi. That's like the first song that came to my mind.
That's a good
That's
one.
a bop.
I think that's where I would go to. I don't know if nobody's ever used that, so might need a little bit of a gimmick change, maybe a special entrance opportunity.
There you go.
Now, you're somebody that, takes your health and wellness, seriously. You're very athletic, you train really hard. So I'm assuming you fuel yourself properly. But is there a post-match meal that's a cheat meal that you're like, it does me right every time?
Oatmeal cream pie. It's my favorite little Debbie, and I look forward to it. After every show, I have an oatmeal cream pie. So that is definitely that's the go-to, and that's for sure that's the best little Debbie in my opinion. But yeah, I had one this past Saturday. I had two actually because it was a longer drive. But that or a cheeseburger. If like something not sweet, but like a cheeseburger is typically a really like that hits after a show for sure, especially once you're on the road. It's got to be handheld because I'm typically I'm not always going back to a hotel. If we're getting right back on the road, it's got to be a handheld option. Nothing I don't want to have to pick up a fork.
Definitely.
Who's someone throughout your travels and your interactions in locker rooms do you feel deserves more recognition than they get on a regular basis?
I mean, probably Miles Blackwell is definitely one of them. He wrestles at CCW. I think that he is somebody that came into wrestling a little bit later in life. And but he is just he's a top notch competitor and entertainer, and what he does in out there is always good. So he's definitely somebody I could say that there's a lot more recognition. Another one is, and he's a training partner of mine here in Jacksonville, but Parker Boudreaux is doing a lot of amazing things on the independent scene right now, and traveling through like Japan and everything. And he is getting some recognition, but I don't think he's getting nearly the recognition that he deserves for the amount of work that he has put in. If you look at what they were like what he was doing in the WWE, and you see the matches that he's having in Japan now, I mean, it's a completely different animal. And he's another one that really helps push me, and we train together every week almost. So those two, Miles Blackwell, Parker Boudreaux, 100%.
You could wrestle anyone, past or present, and that's across any promotion. It could be independent, it could be, WWE, AW. Who would it be? Dead or alive? Anybody.
Just prime Kurt Angle. Prime Kurt Angle is just that's the dream right there. I would say either him. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a number two. That's the answer. He's my favorite. He is my favorite wrestler of all time. I mean, I think to have the ability to make you laugh off of something absolutely ridiculous in a promo, and then when the bell rings and he's in a match, you're like, this guy is serious. Like this guy is an animal. It's definitely Kurt Angle, 100%. I think that would be amazing.
5 years from now, what does success look like for the machine, Bryce Maddox?
5 years from now, success to me is health. As long as I am healthy and able, and I'm still having fun doing this. If it's at a higher level, I'll be absolutely so fortunate for it. If it's where I am now still, and I'm still happy, like that's all I can ask for is my physical health and my mental health through this. Because like we had said earlier, I mean, it's just there's a lot of ups and downs in life, but in pro wrestling. And so definitely, yeah, just my health in 5 years, if it's still intact and we're still the train's still going, then that's successful to me.
So on your socials, I've seen that you've done like what are they called? Official security at like SmackDown and Raw.
The
Like
extra work.
yeah, you did some stuff with Nia Jax. I think a couple of different things related to her. And then there's a local wrestler here, Pat Angel. He does a lot of extra work for them too as well. But is that something you'll be able to continue to do? Like, what's it like? That looks so exciting.
It is. It's a lot of fun, and it's always just like a blessing to be back there, and just the people that you see on TV, there's walking backstage, and to be there is awesome, and it's to me like that was a moment where I was like man, I could stop right now and be happy. I 10-year-old me would be like. So it's really amazing. I mean, it's really cool to see the behind the scenes of just the well-oiled machine that the no pun intended that the WWE is, and how they operate, and the controlled chaos of live television. That is just it's really amazing to see in person. But it's really cool. And just being out there and like hearing everybody, and you have a small thing to do, just holding some wrestlers apart typically and telling them to get back and making sure they don't fight each other. But it's just so amazing to be out there, and you're just like, don't mess up. I did three SmackDowns with Nia Jax. I think they were actually the first three I did, and they were all with the spot with Nia Jax. And I joked with her about that on the third one. I was like, every time I've come and do this, it's with you. And she was like, she's a super nice and humble person. So she was laughing with us about it.
I think if I could do that, I mean, I never will get to because I'm not a wrestler, but I think it would be so fun to be in one of those spots where you're holding back like a big wrestler and then they throw the whole group of, those people. That's like, I
Yes.
mean, they do it occasionally, and I think it would be so fun to be a part of that.
Yes, 100%. I feel like I never get picked to get thrown or tossed or anything like that. I think they normally pick smaller guys.
Got to imagine that having opportunities like that has to like fuel you and drive you to get that small taste of what you're really striving for. Am I right?
100%. It does. It does give you that drive of like you just like it's right there. Like you feel like it's an arm's length. And then it's the double-sided coin of like it's right there. It's an arm's length. You know what I mean? So it's definitely two-sided in that aspect, but I'll never ever complain about having the opportunity to be there. And it is very motivating it's an amazing opportunity to even just be on the rotation of people that get that opportunity.
I feel like the more we get to meet local and independent wrestlers, like our goal is to be able to, meet indie wrestlers across the country. But the more we get to meet them and talk to them, like it really is cool to see just how incredible and talented you guys are. Like you easily could be, on the national stage, or you could do something around the country, but the talent level is definitely, incredible. And, for you to get to be featured even in that kind of capacity is awesome, and
Yeah, it is
that's
awesome. There's
so cool.
so many talented indie wrestlers out there. Like there's thousands on thousands on thousands, and that's a part of why it's I think so difficult to get those like spots and those opportunities, and even like opportunities beyond that with companies. Just because it's very saturated. There's there's a dozen of us out there, that could
I
most of us could do the same thing.
Well, I see it as more like, man, like every time we meet a wrestler, I'm like, why aren't they being picked? Like these guys are awesome. I
Right,
think that
right.
every interview we come away from, I'm like, I'm their biggest fan.
I
uh,
think with wrestling, especially from that aspect, is when you think about getting recruited for like a sport like football or basketball or anything, if you have the measurables, you have the stats, and you have the tape, and you're good, you're gonna make it. You still have to be very good, but if you meet all the boxes are checked, you're gonna get your opportunity. Um, in pro wrestling, you could check every single box, and it just might be just not the right time. It could be the 10 years that you happen to be on the independent scene. Those 10 years, you were just not what they were looking for. I think a good example of it is always Keith Lee's story. Keith Lee had 3 tryouts within like a 9-year span or something like that before he finally got signed to the WWE. That could be so defeating to somebody, I could imagine. That's always something that I try to keep in my mind. It can be good, but just not what they're looking for.
I think so his career too, even leading up to that moment was like so incredible, and he did go on WWE and then at that point I didn't feel like I felt like he was so exciting beforehand and then he arrived and they didn't do a lot with him. That's like my
Yeah.
perspective, but you know,
No, 100%. He was a what if for sure.
So with pro wrestling, you're traveling town to town all over the country, sometimes all over the world. In your journey so far, what's been your favorite city to wrestle in?
Barcelona. Barcelona. It was actually a city outside of Barcelona called Zaragoza, but Spain was amazing. I mean, that whole trip was that was the AWZ International Cup tournament that they did. And just getting, I mean, I wrestled somebody from England, somebody from Germany, somebody from France. There was people from the Middle East over there. There were people from Italy. I mean, all over the place. They brought people from everywhere for this tournament, and it was just amazing. And then uh, to go on and win it, not knowing when I was flying over there that I was going to win it, but to win it was even more incredible. But the fans over there in Europe, I mean, you guys see it on TV. It's just different. I mean, it's like it's electrifying. That's what you get addicted to, truthfully. And I'm very excited. I'm working on some stuff to hopefully get back out there. But that was 100%. Spain was top of the list.
is it so I feel like wrestling, like music, it's a language, right? It's a form of communication. And so going, across the pond and wrestling in another country with wrestlers from all over the world, do you find that like it's a universal language wrestling is, or are there things in the different styles of the cultures that, you had to work through?
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely little things. I will say 2 of the people that I had worked with, in the main event, um, one, their English was not the best. They both spoke broken English, but that was not their first language, but it was enough to communicate. But most of it is universal. I mean, it is. It's just, it's a body language and I expected it to be more of an issue than it was. That would be my short answer to it. It really was not that big of a deal. There's a couple things here and there, maybe some different verbiage that we would use, but use your context clues and put the same thing together. But yeah, that was a very interesting part of the whole of being over there.
Would you rather fight for a championship or be in the main event of a card?
Ooh, man, I mean, personal opinion. Hopefully, if I'm fighting for the championship, it is in the main event. um, but in my fight for the title, 100%. I mean, you got to. I think you have to go for the title, even if it's the opening match.
Is there any venues that you like have you know, a dream that would be a dream for you to wrestle in?
Oh, any venues? You know, it's actually funny. I'm gonna go small scale first or smaller scale first. There's a building in Jacksonville, Florida, the Scottish Rite Center, and I don't know if you. It's kind of a little north of downtown Jacksonville. If you look it up, on the inside, it's like this like mini like stadium. You could probably fit, maybe 3,000 people in there. But there's just a center piece at the bottom, and then all not the bleachers, but the stands that kind of go up at a sharp angle, and it just is like I think it would make a masterpiece of a wrestling show if the right people did it. And nobody's ever ran one there to my knowledge. So that's definitely a dream independent one for sure. Other than that, I would just love to do an outdoor stadium. Really, any outdoor stadium, I would love to have that feeling. I've heard that it's just when it's packed in that outdoor stadiums that all the sound just travels up. So that when you're in the ring, people say it just sounds like muffled, like just muted noise almost. So that is definitely up there. I would say just any outdoor stadium.
Was there anything we missed or anything you wanted to touch on, Bryce, that,
Uh,
we didn't cover?
There was one other promotion. AWL is a promotion in South Carolina that I've been working on. That's definitely one they've been super good to me. So I want to make sure I don't forget them. And they're doing a lot of really. That's to give them a little shout out. They probably have some of the best stage production on the indies right now.
Awesome. We'll definitely have to check those guys out too.
Finally here, Bryce, as we wrap up, when fans leave one of your matches, what's the one thing you hope they're saying about the machine Bryce Maddox after they see you in that squared circle?
Um, Gosh, I just hope they want to see me again. I hope that I think after they see, I hope that I think I touched on it a little bit at the beginning too. I just hope that I am memorable when you come and see me at the shows. I hope that you want to come see it again, and I hope that a little bit of you is like kind of. I'm not scared, but I want people to be a little intimidated. Like that was intense. I want to bring some realness to it. I want to bring like, holy crap, like that guy just beat the crap out of that guy. Like that's what I want people to remember when they watch my matches.
I mean, that's the takeaway I got from your matches. I was like, holy shit, I don't want to throw fists with this guy. He's tough. So Bryce, where can everybody find you on social media?
It is super easy. I am at the Bryce Maddox on all social media handles. TheBrycemaddox. I'm mainly on Instagram, on X a little bit, and then also on my YouTube page. I try to keep everything up to date on there, and then Facebook as well. Bryce Maddox, the machine.
A huge thank you to the machine, Bryce Maddox, for joining us today. Bryce, we appreciate you taking the time to share your journey, your mindset, and what it takes to compete at the highest level on the independent wrestling scene.
If you're in the Southeast, you've got plenty of chances to see Bryce in action over the next few weeks. July 11th, he'll be with CCW in Palatka, Florida. July 18th, you can catch him at Guardians Legacy in Panama City, Florida. And July 26th, you can catch him with Unite to Wrestle in Kingsland, Georgia.
And don't forget to follow Bryce on social media. You can find him at the Bryce Maddox on all platforms for match announcements, behind the scenes content, and everything happening with the machine.
If you enjoyed this interview, be sure to subscribe to the Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review. Share this episode with your fellow wrestling fans and let us know who you'd like to see join us next.
For Bryce Maddox, Mrs. Wrestling, I'm Mr. Wrestling.
Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep supporting independent wrestling.
Okay, serious question. How do people let everyone know they're listening to the hottest wrestling podcast in the game?
That's easy. They stop yelling it at strangers in Target and they go to Pro Wrestling Tees.
Boom. See? Growth, maturity, merch?
That's right. The official Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling podcast shirts are live. Fresh designs, soft tees, drip approved.
Perfect for WrestleMania watch parties.
Perfect for AEW, WWE, TNA, and even New Japan Pro Wrestling pay-per-views.
Perfect for when you're cutting a promo in your living room.
Or when you're reminding your spouse you were right about that heel turn.
I was right.
Debatable.
What's not debatable? You need this shirt.
Head over to Pro Wrestling Tees and grab yours now.
Support the podcast.
Rep the brand
and join the Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling family.